Hi, mute button. Okay, hopefully you can hear me now. Welcome to the stream. I see we have Trina, Dave, Tom, Bruce, and I'm sure more people will show up now that I'm live. Yes, I forgot that I muted my microphone while I was doing the pre-roll stuff. But anyways, I have another beige PC sitting on my desk. It's sort of sitting at an awkward position right now. But it is one that I purchased at about the same time as the Emerson 8000 EC computer. Because why buy one when you can buy two for almost twice the price? Although, from the description and the title, you're probably thinking, well, wait a minute, you said it's a 386. The 8000 EC is an XT class computer, which means it's an 8088. So, what do you mean by buying two? Well, drum roll, please. I have yet another Emerson vintage computer on my bench. And unfortunately, unlike the 8000 EC, where I was able to find some information on it, I can't find any information on the Emerson Elite SX386/16. But yes, I can tell you it is beige. It is actually slightly yellow beige, but it is a beige vintage PC. And enough of that. Trying to stand it upright. Also, you might be able to tell that I've maybe been inside this computer because I actually had to borrow some parts from it to film the videos on the 8000 EC. So, you know, I keep bumping my webcam. I'm going to have to... Let me put it back in position. I feel like I'm off screen. There we go. That's better. All right. So, I don't know that there's really anything special about this computer, other than I borrowed parts from it for the 8000 EC video, because I would have not gotten as far with that video had I not swiped a few parts. And I didn't even bother putting them back in the computer before I streamed. I did at least bring them downstairs because I probably will need them. But we'll get to what I borrowed in a moment. Well, I didn't need to borrow the card slot, but it was these adapters I needed to borrow. So I also didn't put the case screws on because it makes it easier to pull the case off. And hopefully set it somewhere where it will not fall over and damage the not quite so pristine beige paint on top of it. Yes, it is a 386. It is not in a landfill. And what is cool is not only is it not in a landfill, it's actually in pretty good shape. So as you can probably see by me opening it, it's actually fairly clean. I have not done anything to clean the dust out of it. Other than for my thumbnail I created, I did pick out one dust ball that would have been visible in the photo, potentially. But other than that, this is pretty much how I received it back in, I guess it was 2020. I bought it, and since I was buying a house, it went into storage pretty much immediately, just like the 8000 EC did. After I did at that time do a quick check for those rechargeable NiCad batteries that can do all sorts of evil things, but luckily I found there's a Dallas real-time clock module in here, so it went straight to storage. It was in climate control storage, so it was... Yep, I caught that bad bot. And that bad bot has been blocked. That's what happens to bad bots. They don't even go into climate control storage, aka timeout. They go to goodbye, sayonara. Because, well, I know I could turn on subscriber-only mode, but that might limit people chatting. It would limit the bots chatting, but who knows? I don't know. I'm torn about subscriber-only mode. But anyways, so this computer, I can tell you it is a 386SX, as you probably can't really see because it's in the shadow. Yeah, I hate those bad bots too. So, I block them. If your first message is a bad bot message, you're blocked. I mean, I realize people have bad days, and if you're a real person and you're having a bad day, I'll put you in timeout. But if you're a bad bot, you go straight to block. Because, quite honestly, they'll just create a new account when YouTube figures out that there is a... that it's not a human. So anyways, yeah, we'll we will actually get to the slots in a moment. Well, actually, I guess we can answer that now. So this is a 386SX, which luckily, yep, it's a 32-bit processor on a 16-bit bus. It does have 4 16-bit ISA slots and 2 8-bit ISA slots. So the nice thing is, when I find a... I'm going to actually try to find a Sound Blaster type clone for this computer that'll go in the 16-bit slot, because that would be a really nice pair for this computer. So I'll have that my Resound OPL3 and my XT for ad-lib sound, and this computer with a... I probably won't get an actual Sound Blaster because those are ridiculously expensive. Well, I guess, yeah, I might be able to find like an AW32 at a reasonable price. It won't be the original Sound Blaster, that's for... Or, I guess Sound Blaster 16, those are still pretty crazy. But, so I've got 16-bit ISA slots. I guess in terms of capability, and I gotta be careful because the there's some things I haven't put screws back in the case. So it has 2 serial ports and a parallel port and a VGA card. Now I presume this probably shipped with a VGA card, but I do not know if this is the original VGA card or not. This computer also has a modem in it, which I do not know if that was installed later or it shipped with it. And there's also a game card, or a game port card. And I actually want to take this game port card and put it in my XT computer because it's an 8-bit game card. And then when I put the Sound Blaster 16-bit card in it, those always have a game port, so I'll still be able to use a gamepad. But I'd like to put that in my XT. I think that would be nice. Now, I believe this game card was an add-on, because whoever put it in put a different screw in when they put the card in, which maybe is because they stripped the original screw. So I can definitely tell that's not original. These other 2 cards, though, may be original. So, I'll pull them out here in a moment, and we'll take a look at them. So, I guess kind of turning this sideways. So it does have an FPU socket, and I do have an FPU for this computer. In fact, it is actually on the shelf behind me, and I meant to grab it, so let me... Here we go. So I have what might actually be a original sealed Cyrix FastMath coprocessor, because these were supposedly faster than the Intel version. The high-performance math coprocessor from Cyrix run popular software up to 3 times faster than other math coprocessors. And, of course, for a free diagnostic disc, call this toll-free number, which I'm sure is actually now probably some weird phone number. But we got the Cyrix FastMath processor. So this is a 16 megahertz computer, and this is rated at 25 megahertz, so there should be no problem using it. I am thinking this might actually be originally sealed. It might have been, well, I don't know. It might have been resealed at some point. I can't tell. It has 3 edges, but, well, I guess we can, there's one way to find out. See if everything's in it. I know the coprocessor's in it, because it's right there. So I think I actually bought this in 2020, soon after buying this computer, so if I did get ripped off, well, it's too late to return it. Well, oh, there's the installation guide. It's on the slip cover. That's cool. A registration card, limited warranty, which I'm sure is long expired, and the FastMath processor. Which, looking at it, yeah, it does. Looking at this processor, it looks like it's never been used. I don't see any marks on the pins where it's been inserted, so cool. Actually, I'll wait to actually install it, because I'm going to pull the motherboard out. So I'll set that off to the side somewhere safe. Yeah, it's got a... Oh, there's the speaker. Yep. I guess a decent-sized PC speaker. Alright, well, let me turn this the other way. I think it's got a power supply that's sized typical of the day. I mean, it's not like a super large power supply. So it looks like it's, let's see, what's it? Does it actually say what the rating is? Well, I don't know what the wattage rating is. It doesn't seem to be marked in watts, but it's marked in amps. So I guess that's a decent size. Alright, and it has a hard drive, which, if I can remove it. $150 Okay, that's probably about typical. Thanks for the fast math there. Alright, so it has a ST157A hard drive, -1. It is a 3.5 inch. Quite honestly, it looks like 3.5 inch. Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's the maximum height it can be and fit in one slot. Yeah, I think it's probably yeah, somewhere between 120 to 150 watts. Well, I can tell you one thing about this hard drive. It's dead. I needed to try to debug something from the 8000 EC, and so I put one of the cards in here and tried to boot it. This hard drive, it spins up, but you never hear the heads move. So I suspect the heads are stuck in a sticky rubbery goo inside of it, because I suspect the material they used as a bumper inside of it has just probably turned to goo. So it might be possible if I could maybe give it some percussive maintenance and might get it to spin up once, but yeah, I might try tapping it, but tapping it with a little more force, because I actually tried tapping it lightly and it didn't free it up. So we might actually try the tapping trick again. I may also wait until I have something to copy files off of it if I do get it to spin up and it has like the original software installed in it, because I don't know what's on it. It could be anything. Alright, it has a 3.5 inch drive and a 5.25 inch drive. And one of the items I borrowed is the adapter for the floppy disk, because the 8000 EC has 360K 5.25 inch drives. I have no disks to even be able to make a disk for it. So I needed to plug in a 3.5 inch drive, and all the 3.5 inch drives have pin headers, so I had to swipe the adapter for the card edge. Which actually, the adapter for this floppy drive didn't really work that well. If it says anything about the adapter because of the way it's shaped, I had to actually take the cover off my GoTech so that I could lift the GoTech up and plug the adapter in. But that's how I got software on the 8000 EC, because I'm still waiting on a compact flash card adapter. Hopefully it will arrive tomorrow. Although I don't need that adapter for the next video on the 8000 EC, because it is a troubleshooting video. Although I would like to test the VGA card I had in the 8000 EC in this computer, because I'd like to run CheckIt in this computer, because there's no onboard video, just to make sure that I want to see if anything I saw in the 8000 EC still happens, or if any of it works, because there's no memory conflict, because you can't disable the CGA graphics in the 8000 EC. Because if any of you all saw my video, there was a mystery jumper on the board, I can tell you what the mystery jumper does not do. It does not disable onboard video, and it does not disable, it does not disable onboard video, and it does not clear the values in the real-time clock, the saved setup settings. I'm thinking it's possibly a key lock that they put on the board and then decided to never use, and so there's a jumper on it. But I thought most key locks, if it was on, it was locked. But maybe it's I'm still wondering if it's a key lock type thing, because the computer doesn't even try to boot if you remove the jumper. I was thinking they could, but I just want to conclude. One of the problems with the VGA card, though, I know is not because of a conflict. It actually has bad RAM on it. But there was another issue that I really would like to... that I don't know that was caused by the bad RAM. Alright, so here's what is in this 386. So, the VGA card in it is an Oak Technology OTI VGA card. It's got a OTI 037C chip on it, and I think it may have a megabyte of RAM, because I had this powered up, so I think it had more than 256K, so this is actually a slightly nicer card. It might have been included, because it really looks like a rather low-end VGA card. But it also might have been an upgrade, because it has a megabyte of RAM. So, maybe someone bought an upgraded VGA card. Although, I did notice, though, it appears to have CGA output on it. But I don't know for sure. I'd have to try to find the manual for it. So, I guess if anyone wants to do some sleuthing, I'll hold the card here for a moment. If you happen to find anything on this card, you can put something in the chat, and I'll find a way to so you can actually put a link to whatever you find. So, it actually has tantalum caps. So, like the 8000 EC, oh, wait a minute. No, I was about to say, the 8000 EC had no electrolytic caps. I do see a few electrolytics on this board. So, whoever made this computer, I suspect someone made it for Emerson radio. I guess they reduced costs by using some electrolytics. So, alright, the next card, which I don't think I'm going to put back in, because I have no need to. It is a modem. MB2450-00. I don't know, this looks like I don't see a brand on it at all. This quite honestly looks like an absolutely generic modem. And quite honestly, given how generic it looks, it might have actually come with the computer. That could have been a selling point, as it looks like a really cheap, no-name modem. I don't see... Looks like it was made in 91, because I see a 9108. Sorry, person, that I can't read your name. That is obviously not a link to anything doing with that, anything I've pulled out of this computer. So anyways, that's the modem. I probably won't put it back in, because I have no need for it. But it quite honestly probably uses a some standard chip. I mean, If I had a phone line, it looks like it might actually still work. I don't see anything blown up on the card. So, it looks generic enough. It might have come with the computer. Alright, now this, I believe, was added on later because the screw is different. I suspect someone stripped the original screw because they're not really that great. But I want to put this in the XT. But it is a PC game control adapter. Made in Taiwan. Cool gold serial number label. I'm pretty sure this is just a generic 2-port game controller. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just a basic oak VGA card, a basic modem. I mean, looking at the part number, it might even be a 2400 BPS modem. It's a 2450. See manual for instructions. Yeah, I don't have the manual. So it might even be a 2400 BPS modem. It wouldn't surprise me if this computer shipped with, like, CompuServe or something on it. Like a CompuServe bundle, or I don't know, maybe even an AOL bundle. Although this might be a bit before AOL was bundling, but I think CompuServe was. But yeah, generic modem, generic video card, and someone added a generic PC game control adapter. But I want to put this in the XT so I can use game cards, since it's just 8-bit, and my Resound OPL3 doesn't have a game controller. Oh, this looks perfect for the XT for playing some 8-bit games. So, this is what I really wanted to swipe, was that. Alright. Now. Alright. Let me see. Did I screw the floppy drive back in? Oh, yes I did. Okay. Now, I do know, because I tried to get the 8000 EC up and running, I actually pulled the whole floppy drive at first, because the adapters actually screw into the bracket. But I can tell you that this floppy drive needs work. So, you can't push the disk in all the way. You push it in to the point where it should, like, catch and go in, but it doesn't catch at all. It, like, yeah, it doesn't catch. I bet there's probably a spring broken or something. Unfortunately, because the way the floppy drive is, boo on this design, but the floppy drive, despite the fact that it looks like a 3.5-inch drive in an adapter, it doesn't have a standard bezel on it. So I can't use this adapter bracket for another new floppy drive unless I can find a Neutronics D359T20 or something that will line up with the bracket. So maybe there's another drive that I can find that'll line up with it, but I don't have any on hand that line up with it. Oh, actually it says Mitsumi Electric Company IND on the top, so maybe it's actually a Mitsumi drive. Maybe a private label Mitsumi drive? That might actually help me find one that'll fit in this adapter. Because the thing is, this adapter is yellowed pretty uniformly with the 5.25-inch drive. So if the 5.25-inch drive works, not that I have any floppy disks to test it, it would be nice to be able to use that adapter, because I'm probably not going to retrobrite this computer. Because it looks good enough. Really, the top of the floppy drive is about the only place I think I've seen any signs of corrosion on the computer, because it's kind of... But then again, I actually have a floppy drive upstairs that I pulled out of the scrap bin at work. And I know the floppy drive was in an office environment its whole life, and it actually did that same thing. So I'm not sure that that's corrosion because it was improperly stored. I think that's just whatever plating they put on it isn't that great. I don't think it's the same exact mechanism. It looked like it wasn't going to quite line up. Otherwise, although maybe I will see if they line up, because I think it might actually be a Mitsumi drive. Who knows? Maybe I've got a drive to replace this with and didn't even realize that it might be the same thing. Or close enough that it'll fit. I mean, I'll still probably try to repair this, but it'd be nice to not have to be pressured to repair it to be able to use that bracket. I mean, it may be simple, though. It may just be a spring or something. Of course, it could be horrifically complicated, too. Alright, and... well, actually, it looks like this drive, the metal top on it has the same modeling. I think it's just whatever metal this is. Maybe just didn't age that well. But I guess at least it's good that it had both drives, because that means I have the slider brackets for this case. Because I've seen auctions where people have pulled out the floppy drives, possibly because they think they have their data on it, even though there's no disk in the drive. And, well, they take the slider brackets with them. Or they pulled the drive out a long time ago because the drive broke and they didn't think to keep the bracket. I don't know. People do silly things when they store things. I think that's probably going to be a 1.4 megabyte floppy drive. So, all right. Well, it's a nice long IDE cable. And I guess the nice thing is, if I can find a compatible drive, I don't need to... This should be 16-bit IDE, although I don't think it has auto-configure. I think this computer is just too old for that. But if I can find a compatible drive or something that's close enough to something in the BIOS, then I might just be able to plug a compact flash card right into the IDE port. Not have to use an XT IDE. Alright. I'm trying to look to see what I need to do to get the motherboard out, and it looks like that is possibly going to be more painful on this computer. Oh, wait. Maybe there's no screws. Oh, awesome. Okay. Because I took the floppy drives out thinking I needed to remove this bracket. But, no. Actually, it would appear as if I remove the screws, I can see. Which it looks like there's about... let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4... There's some fingers under the drive cage that's holding the other side of the motherboard up. So I think all I need to do is unplug these cables, and luckily each of them is different. Looks like there's 2 LEDs and a speaker. And interestingly enough, the cable that looks like a speaker cable is one of the LEDs. The speaker is actually a non-standard plug, so hopefully actually, I think it does work, which is good. Although I could splice a new speaker in. Alright. Okay, well, I can at least tell you that the screws in this computer are slightly better than the ones that were in the 8000 EC. Alright, and oh, not quite. It looks like I gotta remove the oh, okay. Nope, I don't have to remove those. I thought I had to remove the hex screws holding the serial and parallel port on that are on the motherboard, but actually there are two screws holding the metal bracket that those attached to onto the case. So those are probably the two screws I need to remove. And then hopefully the motherboard will slide out and let me unplug the serial header. There we go. And there's the serial header. And let me just double check that it's actually marked. Yep, pin 1 is marked on it. Alright. Okay. This is interesting. There's a little dust in the case, but nothing bad. So, we've got the motherboard out. Oh. Okay. Just wanted to check clearance for a moment. Hi, Retro Techie. Alright, so let's take a look at what we got on this motherboard. I'll start in the corner here. Alright, so what I do know is, I'll use my handy dandy pointing object here. So here we've got the 386 SX16 processor. I'll zoom in a little more. I know probably not everyone's most favorite processor. In fact, a lot of people, they would rather have a DX, but, well, I've got some DX computers back on the shelf. So, socket for the math coprocessor, which, as I showed you, I have a nice Cyrix Fast Math to go in here. Once I get the Dallas real-time clock replaced, I'll pop that in. Alright, we've got the Headland Technologies chipset. So I do not know why this one's socketed and the other chips are not. It's quite possible that, I know in some cases when manufacturers built computers like this, if they didn't have the chip available when they needed to put it on the board, they'd socket it, put a socket on, and then come back and install it when they had it. So maybe that's what happened here. Maybe this chip fails often. Maybe for some reason they had trouble surface mount soldering the PLCC chip, so they put it in a socket. I don't know. I do know, I think from my research, that Headland Technology is what used to be the company that made the chipset that's in my 8000 EC, because that computer has the G2 chipset. Well, I don't know if the company that made G2 was acquired by Headland, or they, if they're acquired or they renamed or what. But I guess I'm not too surprised that the company that made this, because I don't know that Emerson Radio made this. I think it was, they had another company fabricate it, I suspect, as is common. So I suspect whatever company made these for them, they possibly used the same company, and that company must have liked the chipset, so they used the successor. So, yes, it has 8 30-pin SIM sockets. Yeah. It has 4 SIMs. It does appear as if that's non-parity RAM. And does anyone want to take a guess at what size modules these probably are? And I can give you a clue. It's not much, but it probably won't surprise anyone what it is. You can put your guesses in the chat. I'll turn the board up right in a moment. All right, so going on around the board, it looks like this is probably the multi-IO controller. Just given its location, it wouldn't surprise me if that's floppy hard drive, probably even serial in parallel. As I don't see any other chips that look like they have serial in parallel. And yeah, I'm using my flux cleaning toothbrush as the pointer, if anyone's wondering. All right, so here's our Dallas real-time clock. This bad boy is going to have to come off the board because it's dead. Luckily, though... actually, fortunately for me on this one, I can... Whoop. Hold on, where is it? I can just put a socket on this board. It has all the through holes on it. Alright, I don't have to modify the socket. I can just put one on. So I can then socket the replacement. Excellent. I didn't even know that until I pulled this board out. Just because of where it was. Alright. It looks like some just standard glue logic chips over here. There's the floppy and hard drive ports. Alright, moving along here. So we have it's marked 386 BIOS, but it's also marked AMI keyboard. So I'm wondering if this is actually the keyboard controller. Even though it looks like it's an EEPROM because of this label. So, yep. Actually, it actually appears to be 256K non-parity. Because... oh, wait a minute. No, I think maybe you're right, now that I look at that. 484C 256 BJ10. Actually, yeah, maybe you're right. That may be with parity. So, yeah, 256K. 40 pin. Oh, is that 40 pins? 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep, it's, yes, that is a 40 pin chip. So yeah, that would be awfully large for an EEPROM, so that must be the keyboard controller. Maybe it's a electronically programmable part of some sort. Or maybe it has a small BIOS in it. But it is a 40-pin chip. Alright, and then we have an AMI BIOS. Odd, even. Again, these appear to be EEPROMs. I know these are standard BIOS chips. I'd recognize them most anywhere. So, yeah, overall, and then I guess there's our, well, I'll have to, and then there's our expansion slots. So we've got 4 16-bit and 2 8-bit. And then, yeah, there's a lot of tantalum caps on this board. There are a few electrolytics. Right, here's an electrolytic. It looks fine. A couple of electrolytics between the card slots, and they appear to be fine. And there's a couple of electrolytics down here. So they all look fine. I may have to replace them at some point. So, and then, I guess, interestingly enough, I don't know what this is. It's a weird chip. TDX M1-100. It kind of looks like it's... almost looks like it might be a relay or something. Or it could be a filter of some sort. Yep. And, yes. Plastic clips holding the memory in, so... those will be fun to... oh, those are going to be really fun to remove. Well, I don't have any 30-pin SIMs to... oh, a timer delay IC. Okay. 8048 CPU BIOS microcontroller and timer delay IC. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I have a programmer too if I need to replace the BIOS chips, but I believe they work. So anyways, I guess... oh yeah, look at that. It's a mystery jumper. I love mystery jumpers. It's also a 3-pin jumper just like on the 8000 EC. No telling what it does. Yeah. Let me see if there's a... looking to see if there's maybe a part number on this board somewhere that might belie its true ownership. Maybe... well, here we go. I don't know if that's TGS 70016 revision C 1990 October 15th. I don't know if that helps to know who might have made this motherboard or even maybe what this motherboard is. It could quite possibly be one designed for this computer. It could be a generic one that was used in other computers. That appears to be the only identifying marks on it, because the only other thing here is the serial number label. And I think those are agency marks. And it's serial number T143462. So, revision A, it says on the top. Ah, okay, so the PCB is probably revision C. But in terms of the release board, this was revision A for release. Okay, TGS was out of Hong Kong. That would probably match some of the other markings I saw in the case as to where it was made, so I don't, it didn't really say who made it that I remember. But yeah, alright, so we got that. That's the computer. That's the motherboard, and that's the real-time clock that I know is dead. So, I think now's as good a time as any to tempt fate. Alright, and for that I need to set up my desoldering station. Which is... oh, well... probably be good if I didn't... as you might suspect by the fact that I am opening a box, that there was actually something wrong with the first one I bought, and luckily, in time for me to hear that there was no Mac-Yak, I also, around the same time, had the delivery confirmation email for this. Because actually they were out of stock for, I guess, a couple weeks. Because actually when I published my December... alright. We'll talk to you later, Thomas. These were actually out of stock when I published my December video. So luckily, when they came back in stock, I was able to catch the fact they were in stock and selling quickly. This seems to be a popular budget desoldering station. Alright, so... well, I don't need to fully set it up now. I just need to set it up far enough that I can desolder this Dallas clock chip. So, yep. I ordered this. It's the same model as I had before, the NSD ZD915. They are not a sponsor. I paid for it. In fact, actually, I paid full price for this one. Because the first one I'd bought, actually, it came from Amazon Warehouse, so it was... well... I think I figured out that it was returned because there was something wrong with it. It worked well enough to get through that video, but... it was misbehaving, so... this time around, well, partially because I think Amazon was out of stock. Well, this time around I was fortunate and, well, forced to just buy a new one. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me, though, if they're sold out again. Let's see, I probably should read the directions briefly to make sure I put the... maintenance manual. Oh. And the instructions don't answer my question, so I'm just going to guess. I think that gasket probably goes in there. And then that probably goes on here. And then that twists that tube all around. And all right. So, I'm going to... oh, I guess I probably should turn that on. gun temperature up. And let's see here. Need to clean the they put solder in the tips of these. There we go. All right, we got the solder out. Yes, let me flip the board over. Zoom you all in, because you'll get a really nice view of that. Solder flux, 9049B3. I was about to say, maybe someone's replaced this clock chip before. Hi, Marcos. I am working on it is an 386 SX motherboard. It has a dead Dallas clock chip on it, so I'm going to replace it so that I can save the CMOS settings. So anyways, I guess for anyone that's wondering, well, let me see, where to put it. I am going to replace it with one of these Glitchworks GW12887-1s. So it worked great in my 8000 EC, so I suspect it'll work just as good on this computer. Anyone watching the live stream live, I didn't think to put a link to that video, but when I go back after eBay or after YouTube finishes processing, I'll add a title card to, well, I'll put a link to where you can buy these. It's not a sponsored item. They just make a good product. And actually, Glitchworks is, I figured out, I actually looked at a map of Virginia. I knew they were in Virginia. They're actually closer to me than I thought they were. But yeah, they've got a Tindy store. So... Well, that doesn't quite Those don't look desoldered. Neither do those. Oh, that pin there. I'm going to take another swipe at desoldering, and I'll let the gun dwell just a little bit more before I add suction. That's better. But still not quite where I want to get it, so I'm going to let my Hacko iron heat up, and I'm going to try a little solder wick. Yeah, you probably can't see it behind me, but I have a new tool chest. Well, it's not brand new. But one of my coworkers bought a new tool chest for his electronics lab and asked if I'd like his old one, and I, of course, said yes. So you might actually see that I actually was able to put some tools away. I've got more I can put away on my bench top, but I'll slowly get it organized. But actually, I've got a drawer for soldering stuff and a drawer for tools that'll actually fit in the drawer. And a couple other drawers. Anyways, I'm just going to take some solder wick here. Probably should put a little more flux on the board. Although there is flux on this wick. See if I can't encourage some of this solder to come off. I may also need to just add a little more solder on the board and then try to remove it. Actually, maybe I should do that, because the old solder didn't come out quite as cleanly as I would have hoped, so let's try that trick. see what we've got here. So I can see that that pin seems to still have solder in it by a good bit. That one's got a little bit. That one's still got some. I'm wondering if I can. If this. Well, yeah, that's still. It's quite possible that the tip I'm using is too large. Alright, so I'm gonna swap tips on the desoldering gun, which means I'm going to let it cool down. I guess while I wait for that, I'm gonna turn this so that I can see it just a little bit better, and I'm gonna try some solder wick. On these pins that are actually, that's what I'll do. I'll wait for the desoldering gun to cool down. Oh, wrong drawer. Let me try the more traditional solder sucker. Tube on this is just a little bit long. Yeah. All right, I'll try some manual. I'll flip this board around so you can see it in a moment. I'm going to apply flux to the pins that need a little encouragement to remove. Those two. Okay. Alright, so now I've got flux on the ones that need some encouragement. Let's see here. No, there's not. looks like it's still a little bit on the warm side. Alright, let that cool down a little more. Alright, well. Alright, well, I'm going to try refreshing the solder on these pins that are being stubborn. Some of these pins look pretty clear. There's just, and some of these pins, there's more solder than I want to try just yanking it out. Alright. By chance have... Nope, I guess I don't. I'm looking to see if I have something to insulate it. I can grab this nut with to remove it. Yeah, it's still just a little warm. Just while I wait, I put a little heater beside my chair, not that it's doing much in the basement. Let my fingers warm up just a minute. You know, I guess I could. Here. I thought I had a... Oh, here we go. This might work. I'm just trying to find something to move that nut with. Because I think one of the problems might be with this is I didn't realize how large the tip is that is on it. So I'm going to swap to a smaller tip. Well, it's, I guess, nice to see that you don't just have a bare... I think this is... I think that's a smaller tip than what is on it already. Hopefully I will confirm that is indeed a smaller tip. They don't seem to be marked, so I'll only find out once I actually can clean the, because they solder the tips for some reason. Well, I mean, I think I know why. I think they tin the tips, but the way they tin the tips at the factory, well, it just gets, it blocks the hole. So until I remove the solder from the hole, I don't know what size tip that is because it's not marked. That would probably be my biggest complaint, is they don't mark the size on them anywhere where I can see. I knocked the cleaning tools off my workbench. Oh. Well. Don't discriminate. I block the bots with Russian character names too. Alright, so I've let it heat up. So I'm gonna I don't know that that tip's any smaller, actually. That looks like the same size tip, honestly. Well, I'll give it a try. Alright, so hopefully with that new solder in the holes, hopefully this will, you know, I could probably go up in temperature just a little bit more. Because these might be going ground plane. Alright, that'll let it get a little bit warmer. Ah, okay. That might have been the trick. Yep, that one looks better now. Alright, that looks good. Sure, that one's still a little... Okay, that one's probably clear enough. I'm just trying to get these to where I think I got enough solder out that I can gently pry, because I probably won't get all of it out, but hopefully I'll get enough of it out. Alright. Hopefully didn't. Oh, that was a brief contact. I doubt I did. I touched something on the board, but I doubt that it was touching long enough to do anything. Alright, so that actually... That actually looks like I might have... Oh, there we go. Oh, I got one side out. Alright, let me look. I suspect I'm caught up on, like, one pin. Yep. It's close. Alright. Those are loose. That one's loose. Yep, it is that pin right there. Alright, we're caught up on one pin. There we go. It's out. I got one pin I got to clean out because I did the Alright. Yeah, I think I can get this cleaned up. Yeah, I did the hold the soldering iron and push the pin out under heat method. Because I was that one pin here in the middle. It's the one that you can see still has solder in it. That's the one I had to push out. I don't know why it doesn't look like a ground pin, so I'm not exactly sure why it's being more stubborn than the rest. Alright, so I'm just kind of trying to clean the board up with some solder wick. Oh, that pin is... Alright, so there's two pins. Oh, I think that's actually solder flux, but alright. So it looks like I got to clean out two pins. And I guess the one thing to do when you got solder that just doesn't want to come out. Solder in. And then I will apply some more flux, and I know it's off camera. I'm trying to have an easy way to pivot the camcorder, but I need a slightly better angle to see this. Alright, and it looks like everything's clear now. Yay! So this means I can take one of these absolutely fabulous sockets, to which, if anyone's wondering, when I tried to put a socket in the 8000 EC computer, I bought 10 of these sockets from Jamco. I have 5 sockets left. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sockets that, for one reason or another, I was unsuccessful at modifying it so that I could actually put it on the board, because there were some places where there weren't through holes. Luckily, on this board, I don't have that complication. And yeah, maybe these aren't the best sockets in the world, but... oh, they are the sockets I bought. I mean, they are supposedly major brand, and I'm sure that they probably are a major brand, but even major brands make cheap sockets. I'm trying to get the tape off the end of this tube so that the socket will come out. I think I might have... in fact, I think trying to get the tape out, I think I may have damaged this first socket. Oh, maybe not. Pins are still straight. Alright. So, I think this board, because there are through holes everywhere... so I actually have all 24 pins to... I can just put the socket in this board like that. No modification needed. Notch lined up there. So... let's see where... oh, there it is. The Kapton tape was too tall to put in my drawer for soldering, so I had to put it in my drawer for things too tall for the proper drawer. Well, I guess maybe it's really my tall soldering supplies. Oh, okay. Alright. So to help hold this socket on the board so that it looks nice when I'm done, I am going to use Kapton tape, since I have Kapton tape now. And not the less recommended by me, and definitely not recommended by major manufacturers, gaffer's tape. Although both will remove cleanly, Kapton tape is probably the better choice. Alright. And now that socket is in place, it just slid right in. I got all those holes cleaned up nicely. And my soldering iron did go to sleep. Oh. Well, maybe that just wasn't a great one to start with. Alright. I'm still going to tack two corners. And then double check that the Kapton tape is still holding it in place. It is... alright, yep, that is more or less at a good spot on the board. And now, I'll just solder the rest of the pins. Alright. So I guess it is nice that when TGS designed this board, they considered that someone might actually, or I guess that the manufacturer or whoever is using the board in their computer design might actually want to socket the real-time clock, because it has all the pins for a socket. I mean, I suspect for cost reasons, a lot of manufacturers probably opted to not use a socket because who's going to be using their 386 computer when that clock chip dies? Yeah, maybe they're right. Alright, well, I think that looks decent. Maybe not quite as decent as I would like. Alright. I think that looks like it's in place. I'll let that cool down for a moment so that I don't spray isopropyl alcohol on something that is way too hot to do so. Alright, it's probably cool by now. And because I think this board is just slightly too large for my ultrasonic cleaner, and besides, I don't know that I want to ultrasonically clean the board just for this one connector, since it might remove markings from the board and from chips on the board. Alright. Probably turn that off. Alright. And there we go. One. Oh, I guess I did get a little flux on the top of the board. Oh, it is no clean flux, so the little bit that's still on the top of the board will be fine, I think. See, I might have an is that an isopropyl wipe or a dry cloth wipe? Either, actually. Oh. It's an isopropyl wipe. It's a lens cleaning cloth, but it smells like isopropyl, so I'll just use this to kind of do a little cleaning of the flux that's on the top of the board. It's no clean flux, so I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I will encourage alcohol that's on this socket to kind of dry up. Oh, hey Greg. I didn't even realize you were here. I would ask if you would wait to see if this board will power up, but it would probably take me a little longer than I'd like to admit to get it back together. So, anyways, let me see here. Yep. And there we go. The Glitchworks module is installed. So they do mark pin 1 on the corner, and you can also see the notch for the Dallas chip that it comes pre-soldered to. So there we go. There's that. And where did the battery go? Oh, that's right. I forgot to grab the battery out of the box. Oh, well, I can do this. All right. I don't know where I've got a battery floating. It's probably on my bench somewhere. These modules, they ship with the battery separate because if they installed the battery in it, it would power up. These boards, they ship it with the battery in because there's no clock chip on the board. But of course you want to remove the battery before you solder just for extra precautions. But there we go. So that should be one real-time clock in place, and all the pins are soldered. So hopefully it'll just work when I power it up. So yep, thanks Greg. You can watch the end of the stream later to see if it powers up. All right. And I guess while I've got this out, be now the time to install there we go, Cyrix Fast Math processor. So it is, so there's an alignment dot and the alignment arrow on the socket. And a notch. So the dot, I will zoom in a little so you can see. So there's the arrow. There's the dot, and the notch, and I thought I saw a little dust around here. I'll just pop this in, kind of put this in flat, and press it in gently, but firmly. And there we go. Possibly completely unnecessary for anything I'd run on this, but if I do run any software that needs a math coprocessor, I spared no expense. Actually, I don't think I paid a super lot for it. In fact, I thought being a sealed one, it stood a better chance of working than some of the options. All right. And I am knocking things off my bench left and right. Maybe I should take a moment to the last little bit of my can of air. Actually, I'm going to put this motherboard in so that it is not in the potential line of droppage. And then I'm going to just remove this desolder station from the workbench because I need the power cord I've got it plugged into. All right. Oh, let's see here. Let me set this. Well, actually, all right. That should be safe right there. Famous last words. All right. I am zoomed way too far in. Not that I don't know that I can zoom to the level where you can see everything I'm doing. Maybe someday I'll actually build a workbench that's deep enough to actually be able to position the camera slightly better. Or maybe I'll build an overhead rig of some sort so that I don't have to put the overhead rig on the desk. Anyways, I'm gonna maybe it's a bit premature to screw this in, but it's also a good way to make sure that it's, if any of these screws provide a ground, or also to make sure I've got it actually lined up correctly. So I'll get the 2 screws in the back, and actually it doesn't take that long to screw it in. All right. There we go. So I've got that. Oh, I just realized I forgot to plug the COM port in before I slid the motherboard in, but I think I can get my fingers I can plug that in. It's like just under it. Well, maybe I will be unscrewing it again. All right. All right, well, I'll have to unscrew the motherboard to put that in. All right, so we'll plug power in. Remember, on AT style power supplies, black is in the middle. Red in the middle, dead motherboard riddle. How's that? Although in reality, it's not really a riddle. It would be pretty. It would be pretty obvious why your motherboard no longer works. But yeah, red in the middle, dead motherboard riddle. It rhymes. Black in the middle. All right, and I guess I will pop the VGA card in because we'll need video. And plug power in. And I guess I will plug the keyboard in. Because if it works, I might as well go ahead and set the... Try to set the BIOS. Alright, this is actually the same keyboard. The keyboard I bought for my 8000 EC. I bought it as an XT keyboard. Well, that's what the seller said it was, but it actually works with this computer too. So either the 8000 EC actually takes an AT keyboard, or this keyboard actually does scan code detection or whatever they called it. All right. Alright, I know that looks absolutely horrible. It actually looks pretty bad on my screen, too. Let me see if I can't, let's see, transform. Is it deinterlacing? No, that's not it. I'm changing the scaling. Bilinear. No, it doesn't really look that better. Bicubic, no, that... Oh, maybe if I do that... Oh, actually, I think I know what I need to do. Let's see here. One moment. Vision window, input 1, input settings. Oh. Okay, well, sometimes that oh, not phase. Oh, that looks a little better. Okay, I think it's readable enough. Alright, CMOS setup. Actually, that is quite downright dismal. Actually, I think I've got a better idea. Hold on just a moment. So I'm going to go to my screen share, but I'm going to change what I'm sharing to Alright, well, that's actually... Actually, let me do this so I can... see. Input settings... Window, maintain aspect ratio of source. Okay, well, there we go. That looks much better, and at least you can see the most you can. Alright, so let's see here. Somehow, I doubt this BIOS is Y2K compliant. Or maybe I'm surprised. Be pleasantly surprised. There we go. And it is... $22, $32, or that's close enough. All right, not installed. They're currently not installed, so I'll not installed. That is all correct. Primary display. This is VGA or EGA keyboard is installed. And I'll leave that off for now. Startup speed, high speed, hard drive controller. Let me disable it because I'm not going to plug anything into it. Parallel port, serial port. All right. So let's see. Escape. Write data to CMOS and exit. I like the little splash screen on the so I can see my chat. Let me there we go. Drive not ready error, of course. Alright. Just want to see if it saved it. Yep, saved things. Nope. Oh. Whatever. Alright, let's run diagnostics. Yeah, it's looking good. Alright, diagnostics. Ah, run all tests. Why not? Oh, look at that. Press any key. Yeah, that looks good. Well, it's doing things. Screen is full. Screen is blank. Except, of course, for the text you print to tell me the screen's blank. Actually, I forgot to look to see if there was like a Alright. It's really not the diagnostic I want to run. Yes, I was hitting delete to go to diagnostics because I wanted to check out, let's see here, miscellaneous, video, keyboard. Oh, interesting. Yeah, not the diagnostics I was looking for. Alright, well. Alright. Well, we'll try this. Okay, I think this XT IDE will work in this computer with the firmware it has currently loaded. Or maybe not. Alright, let's see here. Disabled. Or maybe I need to load different firmware on it. Let's see here. Alright, I think what I need to do is probably go grab a floppy drive and a DOS boot disk, and actually probably go put the images on it. Actually, no, I'll just use the standard XT image that's already on the floppy disk. So let me go upstairs and grab a floppy drive so I can boot into DOS and load firmware that this computer will hopefully like better. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I have a floppy drive and a cable. And the adapter, because this cable has the twist in the wrong place. It's a cable that was designed for a 5 1/4 inch drive as drive A, and a 5 1/4 or 3.5 inch drive as drive B. So now I know why they, well, why the floppy drive that was in this computer had the adapter it did. Alright, yes, I know the floppy drive is upside down. That is unavoidable. I think the red disk is the one that has DOS on it. I will know in a moment. Oh, that must have been my disk I was used for testing. There we go. This is the disk that has DOS on it. Oh, okay, I can't use these images. They're all compiled for that 8088 upstairs. So let's flash IDE xt.bin C8. Interesting. Alright, well, let's try the padded image. Maybe there's still a even though I disabled the onboard IDE controller, maybe there's a conflict still. So maybe the onboard IDE is at an address that I don't realize it, or something else is at the address. I don't remember what the name of the other one was. Oh yeah, that's right. Flash OFFR 566 .bin C800. And if this doesn't work, I will go into setup and see if I missed a setting. Interesting. Alright, so we got the date. That shouldn't matter. Floppy drive. Oh, it does have user type. Disabled. Shadow system video. Scratch around. High speed. I have to enable that maybe? I don't have a compact flash to IDE adapter, or I would use that. That's why I'm trying to use the XT IDE. I don't have another way to plug this compact flash card in directly, or I would. Yeah, sure enough. I may need to go copy CheckIt to a floppy disk. Not a big deal. That's assuming CheckIt will fit on a floppy disk. All right. Well, the real-time clock replacement that I installed works. I can't get my XT IDE to work in it. Oh, actually, I need to load. Let me reload the firmware that my XT needs, or my 8088 needs. I don't have a compact flash to IDE adapter, because apparently this onboard IDE has a user-defined type. If I'd realized that, I would have probably bought an adapter, so I'll have to buy one. So, but I can't get this XT IDE to work in this computer. I've tried the BIOS images that I thought would work. So let me, I'm loading the firmware I need to put this in my computer upstairs. Then I'll run upstairs and copy CheckIt to a floppy disk. I think it will fit on a 1.44 megabyte floppy disk, because I want to run CheckIt. Alright. Let's see here. Flash. And the one I need is IDE xtl.bin z800. Alright, I've already run the XT IDE config program on this image, so I just need to flash it, since I know this image works on the computer upstairs. Alright, it does not want to cooperate on this computer here, though. Alright, so I'm going to go take my XT IDE upstairs with me. I need to take this floppy drive upstairs as well, because otherwise I won't be able to copy. Create a floppy disk with CheckIt on it. Well, I guess I could take the GoTech upstairs, but I don't have enough. I just want to do this quickly, so I'm just going to go put CheckIt on a floppy disk. That'll be quicker than trying to use the GoTech. Alright, so I'll be back in a few minutes after I go copy CheckIt to a disk that I know is good. Luckily, I know this red disk is good. I was using it for testing, so I'll be right. It'll be a couple minutes. Alright. I have a bootable floppy with CheckIt on it. I also have activated my bot detection algorithms and... oh, well... that's weird. Don't know why the drive wasn't ready the first time. It is an older floppy drive. Maybe it's in need of maintenance. Alright, I'll turn my heater off so I don't forget, because it definitely is not good enough to do anything more than a very localized area in my basement. Alright. Oh. It won't be the fastest launch, but it fit on the floppy disk. Which didn't surprise me. CheckIt 3 came on two 360K floppy disks, so even if it had uncompressed things, I figured it would should fit on a 1.4 megabyte floppy disk. Alright. Might be a bit slow, but it should work. There we go. Looks like it detected things. Alright, let's see here. Sysinfo. Why not? Let's see what it says about this computer. Yep, this is just DOS 3.31. Very convenient for... I could not get the CF... I can't get the CF card running on this computer. I need to get just an IDE to compact flash adapter because this BIOS supports user-defined type. I couldn't get the XT IDE to work in it. It's possible if I continued to fumble for other images that I might find one it likes, but for now, I'll just use a floppy disk. It's a little slow, but it'll let me at least check some things. Alright, so there's the specs of the computer. Everything looks right. I'll run DOS 622 on this when I actually install it. But... alright, so the real thing I wanted to test was... there we go, system board. Oh! Yeah, that might be the problem. Oh, interesting. My Cyrix FastMath failed the algorithmic functions test. I might need to see if I can find the Cyrix diagnostic program. Maybe this program failed it because it detected or sensed that it wasn't an actual Intel part. Because the weird thing, it passed the trigonometric and comparison functions, failed the algorithmic functions. That's kind of odd. I mean, I guess it could still be bad, but that would be a shame. It's the only FPU I have for this computer. Real-time clock. Oh, that's weird. I think CheckIt 3 is not Y2K compliant. Yeah, I guess I'll have to I'll see if I can't find an AT BIOS ROM, because if I can use that to get this thing at least running enough to try some things out. I guess I'd also like to find that Cyrix diagnostic program. I'm sure someone's uploaded it somewhere. If not, I guess I can do what YouTube keeps telling me I need to do and create a short. As a plea for someone to please see if they've got the Cyrix diagnostic disk and upload an image to archive.org before the disk goes bad. I didn't think to check for it because I had forgotten that the box was marked. Call this toll-free number for the diagnostic disk. I could check the other fast math box I have over there because I actually have one for I've got some 386 DX based computers, but I think that box has the same node on it. But I'll start the memory test. Yeah, if that fast math doesn't work, I'll get one an Intel 387SX. Let me I guess I'll kick off the memory test. Oh, that is assuming the huh. I don't know that. There might be something wrong with this floppy drive. I did pull it out of the scrap bin. Well, it crashed when I tried to run the memory test. But it kind of looks like it didn't finish loading. I mean, there may be something wrong with this floppy drive. I may need to go upstairs and I've got another one. Let's see. While I wait for that to boot, let me go look at this other Cyrix box and see if it has that same label on it. Oh, it does. I see it right there. Alright, it doesn't have a diagnostic disk in it either. If I get really wanting to boot this thing, I could try some percussive maintenance on the original hard drive and see if I can get it to spin up. I did just think of something. One thing I really wanted to test was the. Let me see if I can get the Vga test to run. I mean, there could be a problem with this computer. It's possible there's bad RAM in it. I've seen RAM that'll pass the BIOS diagnostic but fail, so maybe that's why it crashed running the memory test. This floppy drive could be bad too. It looks like CheckIt just stopped loading again. It's also possible CheckIt 3 doesn't like 386, although it detected it. I guess maybe I'll... Okay, that's going to be painfully slow. As the GoTech, I only have... I have DOS. I don't have CheckIt on it. Well, actually, I think I've got the CheckIt floppy images, but... I'd have to put 2 floppy drives in here so I could actually install CheckIt from those floppy disks. Oh wow, this is painfully slow and low speed. I'm seeing if maybe low speed it'll work. DOS boot's fine. Yeah, I'll do that just as soon as I can get CheckIt to actually load again. It just crashed again. Maybe I need to run a... Alright, let me go upstairs and grab... I've got another spare 3.5-inch floppy drive. Let me go grab that. And I'll go grab a DOS 622 boot disk. Maybe this version of DOS doesn't like this computer. I may not be able to run CheckIt tonight. Or... so we'll see. Yeah, if I can get CheckIt to run, I will check the memory map first. But something's not happy now. I mean, I was having some trouble on the 8000 EC while trying to use this floppy drive, and I thought it might be the 8000 EC, but given the fact it's doing the same weird things on this computer, it might be this floppy drive. So let me go grab the other one. I should have probably just brought it downstairs. Now, what's another trip upstairs? Yay, exercise. Alright, there we go. And we can bypass that test. Alright, I've got the other floppy drive. It doesn't plug into the adapter board as well, but I think it works. It at least looks better. It's not... I don't know what it was pulled out of, but it looks newer. I mean, I know what this floppy drive I was trying to use was used for, because I pulled the post-it note off of it that was hardly readable, but I recognized the post-it note on it. So quite honestly, floppy drive was probably well used. Ah, that's good. Alright, let's see if CheckIt loads. And it looks like it crashed again. Maybe it's not the floppy. Oh, let me look at the... Maybe it wasn't the floppy drive. Alright, well, let's see here. Let me try this. I've got a DOS 622 boot disk. I'll try booting it and then see if CheckIt will. Of course, maybe what I might need to do is, well, I may need to load some floppy images on my GoTech and stream another day of actually trying to run the diagnostics on this. Let's see. It looks like this floppy drive is so quiet compared to others. Alright. Well, it's a DOS setup disk. But it boot. Alright. Alright. It's quite possible that this, if that floppy drive was... I mean, this floppy disk might not be any good. There might have been marginal. I mean, there could be something wrong with the computer. I don't know. Yeah, if I can get I guess what I need to do is see if I can find an AT BIOS image for the XT-IDE, or get a compact flash card adapter so I can at least use that and boot from it, because I know that's working. Because, yeah, CheckIt just crashed again. The RAM could be flaky. That is quite possible. I don't have... I've got two 1 megabyte sticks that came out of the LC that's probably fine. But given how late it is tonight, and the fact that you have to remove the motherboard to install the RAM, I mean, being a 386 SX 16-bit data bus, it should take two 30-pin SIMs. But I have to pull the motherboard out, and I don't want to do that tonight. But yeah, it should take two. And that would give me 2 megabytes. And I had the LC running with that memory, so it's probably good. I don't know that this motherboard would take 4 megabyte SIMs. Because that would be... I mean, it might. Because I could pull the 4 megabyte SIMs out of my LC. Well, I guess, I could try it. I've got 4 megabyte SIMs in my LC. But... yeah, it looks like I either have flaky RAM or a flaky floppy drive or flaky something else. So it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to run CheckIt on the 8-bit VGA card tonight. Or on this computer for that matter. I guess at least it ran long enough for the real-time clock to test. Yeah, I guess those 4 megabyte SIMs... actually, those 4 megabyte SIMs are parity SIMs that I bought for the LC. Because the LC doesn't use parity, but that was the best deal I found on RAM for a seller that... well, the seller in his auction description did say it would work with Mac. It just would ignore the parity, and quite honestly, when buying memory for a Mac, I found it reassuring that the seller theoretically had tested it, or at least knew this memory would work in a Mac. Although I think the Macs that use 30-pin SIMs are a bit less picky than later Macs in what memory they like. I know when Apple went to DRAM, those Macs, or maybe starting with DDR, those Macs really wanted to see something special in the EEPROM that's on a DIMM. So yeah, I may, so I can actually see if this will work with 4 megabyte SIMs. That'd be pretty cool having a 32 megabyte 386, even if it is an SX. Also, we'll try to see if I can find the Cyrix diagnostic program. Yeah, I guess I could if I needed to. Yeah, so I guess this computer is just not being cooperative tonight. I don't know. Don't know what the problem is, but it does appear as if there is a problem that I need to run diagnostics. Yeah, if I can get an image for the XTIDE an AT BIOS image, then I'll do that, because then at least, because I've got CheckIt installed on that compact flash card, and it would be fairly quick to... it would at least be much quicker to load off that than a floppy disk as I try various things. So if I can get that running, I will. I may look and find a compact flash to IDE adapter. It just dawned on me to at least make sure these chips are actually seated. Yeah, they're all seated. So, yeah, the power supply could be weak. That is always a possibility. Do I have a... I don't know. I don't know where my... oh, actually, I do know where my voltmeter went, but it's kind of hard to get to it right now. because I've set things on top of the lid of my tool. Oh, actually, I just realized you can see the very edge of my tool chest. So if you were, so yeah, there's my my new to me Stanley tool chest that my coworker gave me when he bought a new bigger tool chest for his lab. So yeah, I set things on top of it to free them off on my oh yeah, maybe I should just do that. Although that is a good idea. If I can get them cheap enough, I don't mind buying a couple extras and testing them myself. Especially, oh, those, okay. I thought you were talking about the 30-pin Sims. Although you could probably get those fairly cheap from China, too. Although I've reached my parts budget for this month, though. I've ordered some. Well, I might be able to. The compact flash card adapters, I might swing that. But in terms of significant parts, because I've placed 3 orders with UT Source in the past week for some other projects. So I have. Well, nothing for this computer, but for the Ethernet adapter in my LC, the one that has the FPU socket, it's when you plug it into the Ethernet network, the link keeps going up and down. I ran the Asante diagnostics, the memory diagnostic passes. I looped it. You can run the diagnostic tests in up to 1,000 times in a loop. So the memory test passes, and the NIC test passes all 1,000 times. The loopback test passed 998 times and failed twice. $100 minimum. Okay, first of all, you can, well, depending on what you're buying, you can pick USPS shipping, and it's only like $8. Not that I totally trust the USPS, but it's only $8. And the last 3 orders I placed with them were like $30 before shipping. Although maybe they have a minimum order for, because I know they're about to go to Chinese New Year holiday. Well, maybe they did finally institute a minimum order because they got tired of people like me placing $30 orders. But anyways, for my Asante LC Ethernet card, since the loopback test mostly passes, but yet it won't, you plug the cable in and the link keeps going up and down, I ordered, on Ethernet cards, there's a filter. Oh, that minimum. Okay, yeah, I don't know a way around that. Luckily, the ICs I was ordering weren't, some of them had minimum orders, but luckily they weren't $20 a piece. Then again, the filter, it's like, I don't know exactly what the part is. It's on every Ethernet card, 10 base T, 100 base T, 1000 base T, 10,000 base T. It's like the Ethernet jack comes in and it goes into like, I always thought it was the magnetics, but actually I think it's like, or at least on 10 base T, it looks more like an inductive filter. So since the loopback test passes 99.9 or 99.8% of the time, I was wondering if the part that's bad is that inductive filter. I've never seen it fail, but, well, that was cheap enough. So I've got those on order. The 8-bit video card that I want to put in the XT, the Emerson 8000 EC, it did fail the RAM diagnostic in that computer. Because of where it failed the RAM diagnostic, Yeah, I was kind of wondering if maybe it did take a surge or something, because that is the weird thing. The card passes the memory and the NIC, and the loopback passes 99.8% of the time, which, quite honestly, I'm not going to quabble over 0.2% failure for a card that old. And quite honestly, if that inductive filter is the problem, it might have actually contributed to the loopback test failing those 2 times. So I found those. Luckily, the parts were available. I think they're used, but, well, I ordered some of those. I'll try to get that card because it has the FPU socket. I ordered RAM for the 8-bit VGA card. The first 32 bytes of the memory on that card failed, like nearly every bit position. Since A1000 doesn't conflict with CGA, I will also check that. The jack may also need reflowed. I guess I could try that real quick, but I'll wait till I get those inductive filters, because then I'll probably reflow the jack and install the inductive filters. And if it still doesn't work, then, well, I'll try to get the Farallon card to work. The other thing is I need to finish setting up a new Blue SCSI, an image to put on the Blue SCSI that has a full install of macOS 755, or at least 753 or 755. I forget. I may have run the update on it already. I found the CD image, and I made sure that to install OpenTransport, because the separate installers are not compatible with OS 755. So hopefully I can get one of those 2 cards to work. But I'd really like to get the Asante card working because it's got the FPU socket. So I got RAM for the VGA card. And what was the other... there was one other order I placed, and I forget what it was for. Oh, that's right. I have an upgrade. Oh, yeah, that's right. You did have that ISA VGA card. If I can't get the 8-bit VGA card from back in the day to work, I may have to build one of those. But Mike warned me that those 8-bit VGA cards that are actually the old ones are very rare, so I am going to try to get it working, because apparently, because they were moving to 16-bit ISA cards, most VGA cards are 16-bit. All right, I will take you up on that. I'll send you a private message, and we can discuss. I can pay shipping or chip in on shipping. So, but yeah, Mike was telling me that the 8-bit ISA cards are pretty rare, and while some 16-bit VGA cards will work in an 8-bit socket, Mike warned me that there's actually a lot of them that won't. So having an actual 8-bit ISA card and it being one that was, I mean, it's a pretty early VGA card. So if all that's wrong with it is memory, then sure, I'm totally fine with replacing the bad memory and getting the vintage card working. Granted, that ISA VGA card project is probably a better it's probably a better chip than the okay. Yep, I'll make a note, because I think I already started a list of parts to get from that I need from UT Source that I'll probably order next month. I'll make a note that I need to get a Video SE. But yep, that sounds right. Because this is actually the 8-bit ISA card I bought this off eBay. I lucked into finding it, because these are actually these are really hard to find. And actually, I can't find any information, or I think I tried looking for information on this card online. I really didn't find anything. But it's a Renaissance RVGA card. And I mean, and the chip says Renaissance RVGA but I can't find any information on this card. It's RVGA BIOS. And the company's Renaissance GRX. Honestly, though, some of the text on this card really looks like... Yeah, I've seen the project, but yeah, I'll search for that, and I will make sure I get the right video chip, because that would be an embarrassing blunder. Renaissance Graphics, the only thing it really says on the back of the card is Renaissance Graphics, but that is the VGA card that I got off eBay, and other than the first 32 bytes of memory are like completely dead, which is the weirdest failure mode. And it doesn't seem to like being in the 8000 EC although it might be the memory bad, may be the only thing that's really wrong with the card. I am working on a video on the 8000 EC where I go through some of the troubleshooting I did. So I guess spoiler alert if you're watching this, troubleshooting this card, because in my last video I had... Oh, awesome. I like military grade. It's more likely to survive the carnage that I can toss at it, even if it is knocking things over. But yeah, so if you watch out for my next video on the 8000 EC, the problems I had with this card will be one of the 3 troubleshooting things that are in the video. I started writing the script for the video, and well, and then the work week started. I need to get back to writing the script. But I've already captured all the video captures, and I kind of know about what I want to say, and it's not going to be a 45-minute video, I don't think. I do know I need a larger SSD for processing video captures, because the video capture files are gigantic when I capture using that RGB to HDMI, because it's 60 hertz refresh, 1920 by 1080, and it probably doesn't help the fact that I'm using uncompressed video so that it looks the best when I crunch it down to YouTube upload size, and then YouTube then completely mangles everything for their willingness to stream stuff to you. Yeah, I don't either. So yeah, I'm with you there. I'd rather use a quality part than have to rework it, because a lot of boards don't survive me reworking it too many times. But anyways, so I'm hoping that the VGA card, maybe all its problems is the RAM. So, yeah, actually, the thing is, I have a 2 terabyte SSD so my video editing machine, I've got a 1 terabyte SSD, which is my Windows and application drive, and it has documents on it. And then I have a 2 terabyte hard drive I had intended to be for like storing the video files while I'm working on something and being able to set it as the scratch drive. Anyways, while I was working on converting the files from Virtual Dub, so I have to capture them in Virtual Dub in one format, because the format I want to use, it doesn't like capturing in that format from the get-go. Because I would like to capture directly to Blackmagic 422. Because, which is an uncompressed, or at least it's a high-quality codec. But Virtual Dub doesn't like it when I try to capture directly that. So I have to first start with H.265 lossless. Those video files are pretty small. But then I have to use VirtualDub to convert the file to Blackmagic, and those files are large, like enormous. But Premiere Pro does not like the Blackmagic format. Big shocker. So I then have to pull these files into DaVinci Resolve to then simply export it to QuickTime uncompressed, which Premiere Pro will actually pull in, but I can't. But VirtualDub won't capture to QuickTime uncompressed. In fact, when I try capturing to a QuickTime format with VirtualDub, it usually it doesn't crash, but it gives a unhandled exception, and it's like a .NET unhandled exception. You click continue, and well, it's not capturing, so that just doesn't work. I suspect that requires that you have QuickTime installed, but installing QuickTime on a PC is a bad idea because Apple hasn't updated it forever. Okay, I'll have to look. I'll have to look at the differences between the two BIOSes. So, anyways, while I was converting the video captures so I could actually pull them into Premiere Pro, I actually luckily looked at Windows Explorer at the right time, because I was actually about to fill a 2 terabyte SSD with like with all the files that I had created to capture the video and get them into a format that Premiere would like. And the only way I didn't like fill the drive is I had to delete the intermediate files once I was done with them and empty the recycle bin. Well, actually, they were too large to put in the recycle bin, so it directly deleted them. And luckily, that I caught that before DaVinci filled the drive, although it should have just probably gently stopped and said, your drive's full. But I actually had more than 2 terabytes of video files, and the thing is, these were a total of 12 video files. I think it's a total of like maybe 15 minutes of footage, and I had turned them into over 2 terabytes of data just trying to convert them to something that Premiere Pro will pull in. And I need to find a better capture program than VirtualDub. I need to find something that'll capture directly to a high quality codec that maybe is losslessly compressed, or maybe I just need to. Well, using DaVinci Resolve won't fix the problem because I still had to convert the file because DaVinci didn't want to pull in H.265 lossless either. So either I need to find a plugin for Premiere Pro that will let Premiere Pro pull in H.265 lossless, which would be great because those files were like really small, because these video captures had a lot of static data on the screen. So those files were actually, the audio part of that video was larger than the video part of the video because of how well H.265 lossless was able to compress it. But the other two lossless formats that I had to use to get something Premiere Pro likes, though, they make really huge files because they're uncompressed. I don't think or they're very minimally compressed, and I need to find something lossless compressed that Premiere Pro will like, that VirtualDub or find another program will do. But anyways, yeah, long story short, I think I was eventually getting to the other UT source order. I just remembered what it is. I ordered an upgrade for the 8000 EC, and I think I hinted on in the chat of a live stream I was watching what I did. I'm kind of holding it as a surprise otherwise, because I quite might honestly destroy the board doing the upgrade. But I managed to find a chip on UT Source that will make a small little upgrade. So, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, Tom, this wasn't 4K video. This was 1080p. That's how large these files were. I sure hope the captured video looks good once YouTube completes their mangulation process of processing, because otherwise I'm just going to capture in H.264 and say, oh well. Because those files are huge. Now, the weird thing is, though, I actually copied these. I think I copied these files to my NAS as a backup. And those files, as large as they were on the SSD, they actually compressed really small. I've got compression turned on my NAS. I've got True NAS, and it's running a ZFS, and I have the compression turned on. Those video files compressed really small on the NAS. It hardly made a dent in the available free space once I was done copying them to the NAS as a backup. I mean, they took a little while to copy because I was copying 1.5 terabytes of video files, but that's how bloated they were. That I think on the NAS they're a couple 100 megabytes. So I did back them up. I have a backup because I'd like to finish this video. I just need to finish the script and get the script to a point where I'm not like totally unhappy with it, and then just shoot the talking head part of me, which those files will be reasonable because I just use 1080p, and well, that's going to be H.264, and yeah, I need to find something better for the video capture. VirtualDub's really not doing it for me. But anyways, I guess with that, I'm going to have to call the stream to a close because I have to work in the morning, and it's almost midnight here. So I guess the good thing is I've got a working real-time clock module in this 386. I installed the fast math processor, and well, CheckIt, it passed 2 of the 3 CheckIt tests. I'm hoping that's because CheckIt didn't know what to do with a processor that's reporting to be, because I think these fast math processors, I bet CheckIt probably doesn't handle the compatible faster clones. So I'm hoping that's the problem. Otherwise, I'll order a 387SX from somewhere. But at least I got a real-time clock in it. It'll keep the BIOS settings. Hopefully I can find AT BIOS for the XT-IDE so I can at least boot from a compact flash card and at least start to try to do some troubleshooting. And then I'll pull my 30-pin SIM collection, all 2 1 megabyte and 2 4 megabyte SIMs, and put those in to see if I can get this CheckIt to run, because I might have bad RAM. Very possible. So with that, thanks Tom for sticking with me to the end. I'll private message you about that video card. Probably will be tomorrow because I probably really am about to go to bed. And yep, I'll go check their website. I should be able to use a precompiled BIOS since it's an AT computer. So I'll check their website tomorrow. But anyways, I guess I got to a good point with this computer. Tom, Discord under Tom's work. Okay. I'll make a note of that. So I'll reach out to you on Discord. And so look for a message from me. I'm JDMCS on Discord. So anyways, I will, with that, call the stream to an end. I'm glad those of y'all stuck to the end, whoever's watching Or if you are watching the replay, thank you for sticking through to the end. Hi, Dad. And with that, I'd like to wish everyone a good night or a good day, depending on when you're watching this. And I hope to see you next time. So, like, comment, subscribe. Have a good day.